Welcome to the channel, and before the end of the video, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And now we will start the story of the Deceiver's corpse. In one of the neighborhoods in Egypt, there was a person named Karim who experienced a strange and terrifying incident. Let me begin the narration in English. My name is Karim, and I'm 22 years old. My father passed away recently, leaving only my mother and my younger sister as my family. After my father's death, I had to search for a job to support the household expenses and my remaining year of university. I looked for various jobs, but luck was not on my side. One day, while I was sitting in a cafe, I overheard my neighbor, Uncle Muhammad, talking about their need for someone to work with them. Uncle Muhammad happened to work at the General Hospital's morgue. I took my chair and sat next to Uncle Muhammad, asking him about the job details, salary, working hours, and shifts. He responded kindly and honestly to all my inquiries. When I expressed my desperate need for the job, he said, "My son, you are young, and working at the morgue might be too heavy for you." I insisted, saying, "Leave it to God, Uncle Muhammad. I urgently need this job." After my persistence, Uncle Muhammad agreed to help me, and I got employed at the morgue to clean and sanitize the autopsy area. At first, my shifts were during the daytime, but I needed night shifts to be able to attend my lectures. I decided that accepting the job was more important at that moment, and I could make adjustments later. After a while, my shifts changed to night shifts, and the morgue in the daytime didn't seem as scary since there were many people around, and the hospital was just 50 meters away with people coming and going, showers, and hustle. However, the morgue at night became an eerie and frightening place, especially with the stillness of the night and the scarcity of people around. But all that mattered to me was finding a balance between work and my studies. One time, we received news that a corpse was being brought to the morgue. It was the first corpse I would handle during the night shift. The doctor asked me and my colleague to prepare for its arrival, while my colleague stood outside, providing security. As I entered the facility to set up for the autopsy and clean the area, I was fully focused. Suddenly, the lights went out and quickly came back on. When I turned around, I found myself facing an old man in his 70s. His face was pale, and there were burn marks on his body and clothes. Half of his face was also burnt. I was startled and took a few steps back, thinking that the man might have gotten lost and confused between the hospital and the morgue. Fearfully, I asked him, "Who are you, sir, and what brought you here?" Strangely, the man didn't respond, and as soon as he opened his mouth, smoke with the smell of fire came out. Suddenly, the old man vanished before my eyes, leaving me in a state of shock and bewilderment. I couldn't speak, move, or even scream. The ambulance's siren woke me from my trance, and the doctor's voice said, "Come on, get up from your place. Let's get started. You're just assisting me with the autopsy." I was terrified, my face completely pale. It was my first time assisting in an autopsy, or even seeing a corpse. My task was to clean up the blood and wipe the area after the procedure, and of course I couldn't refuse. The color drained from my face as soon as the doctor opened the body bag, and I saw the same man I had seen moments ago, whom I thought had gotten confused between the hospital and the morgue. A shiver ran through my body, and as the doctor opened his mouth to speak, I couldn't utter a word or express myself. The doctor said, "Don't be afraid. It's me who will perform the autopsy, not you. Your only task is to hand me the tools and do as I instruct you." I tried to respond to the doctor, to tell him that I still saw the man in front of me a few moments ago, but my tongue was tied, and I couldn't utter a word. The doctor then said, "Come on, my son. Get up from your place. Let's begin. But you've done enough for today. Leave and ask your colleague who's waiting outside to take your place quickly, or else we'll be delayed." Before I could comprehend the doctor's words, the lights went out again, but this time they didn't come back on. The doctor asked me to go and start the generator in the basement and call for my colleague's help. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and descended into the basement. As I moved, I stumbled and tripped over my own feet, one foot colliding with the other. Suddenly, a single flash from the phone's flashlight illuminated the man standing just 5 centimeters away from me. He emitted the smell of smoke and burnt flesh as he leered at me. My tongue twisted and I was frozen in place, unable to scream, move, or run. In an instant, the man vanished, and I quickly ran without starting the generator. When I reached the doctor, the lights were back on, and I called for my colleague to take my place. I spent the rest of the night outside the morgue, shaken by fear. The next day, I tried to gather information about the man and learned his name and address. His name was Shawani, a very strange name indeed. When I inquired about him in his neighborhood, people sought refuge in God from the devil and ignored me. I eventually realized that he was a charlatan who practiced magic and harmed people. One day, the incense burner caught fire, engulfing him and his apartment. He died suffocated and burned, and his burns were a fitting end for him. I returned home and told my mother about what had happened. She congratulated me and promoted me. As for me, I continued to have recurring nightmares for some time, as I would see the same man every day. Perhaps he was the accompanying jinn of the Deceiver. I decided to visit the sheikh at the mosque to perform a spiritual healing on me. I continued this practice for a while until the sightings of the accompanying jinn stopped. The sheikh advised me not to neglect the 5 daily prayers and to recite morning and evening supplications. As for the morgue, I decided to leave it and found work as an accountant in a small koshery shop, which was 1,000,000 times easier than the morgue. This experience left a deep impact on me, and I realized the importance of seeking refuge in God and distancing myself from dark and suspicious matters. The story of the Deceiver's corpse always reminded me that goodness triumphs over evil, and seeking help from God and staying away from wicked deeds is the key to a safe and sound life.